All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we got the final race of the day, our 600 horsepower boats out on the course. We've got the Mantis on the inside, the Sting, and on the outside of them, the TCR. And in a dwindling field, unfortunately, of 85 boats, we've got no Colonel out there at the moment. I can't see them, so not sure what's happening there, but we've got RS Motorsports and, of course, the C52 out there running in this one. So, welcome back, and hopefully everybody at home is enjoying the racing. Final race of the day. This is race number 3 for these boats. Had one race yesterday, one race this morning, and the final race here today in this one. So a little bit of attrition out there. I'm not sure what's happened with the Colonel. I'll try and maybe get a little bit of an update for you on where the Colonel's ended up in this one. It's a shame if we don't see him out there. In the Sport 85, they've had 2 for 2 wins, but that's going to hurt their championship a little bit if they're not out in this one. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that the Australian Offshore Powerboat Club, jump on the Facebook page. It's probably the easiest way to reach them. You can check all of the action out on the Australian Offshore Powerboat Club Facebook page. And all of the racing will come up there, and you can look at all of the rounds. Next round is Geelong in a couple of weeks' time. And then the racing moving north as well, for those of you that want to follow the racing. If you want to come up to the races, or if you want to watch, of course, on GP Hydro live streaming as well. Thank you, Benny Embleton. So, and if we can find you a microphone, we'll probably get you to come and do a bit of co-commentary with me. But thank you, mate. They've got a issue with alternators on the Colonel. They are sitting out this warm-up lap, but they're going to head out. So is that, just can't see them though at the moment. Oh, where are we? There we are. We're back again. Joining me in commentary just for the moment, Benny Embleton. You've been running around in the special edition, mate. First of all, welcome to Wyndham Harbour. You've been having a good weekend other than the obvious.
Yeah, g'day, Bisho. Yeah, it's been a good weekend for, socially, but in terms of racing, a little bit unlucky for Mark and I in the special edition, but hopefully we can be back for Geelong.
Mate, just run us through the issue with the boat. Obviously, a transmission issue in the boat going on there.
Yeah, we lost a bit of oil yesterday and got a bit hot and fried some clutch up and a bit of everything. So, look, we found where we thought the leak was and put some fluid in it last night and tried to get it back out on the course. And we went for a rip this morning and unfortunately got that burning smell and straight away, yeah, it's smoke and not looking good. So it's going to be a rebuild on that.
Oh, straight into the Coronas for you then, son. Mate, great to, and I have to thank you for filling in for me at Lake Macquarie. Did a great job on the commentary there, mate.
Yeah, thank you, mate. I enjoy getting up here and listening to the sound of my own voice every now and then. It's good fun.
It is good fun, mate. I got the best job in the house, and we've got to start here as well, mate. Talk us through these 3 boats. They've been deck to deck. What's going to happen here, please?
Yeah, so we've got the Mantis on the inside, Anthony Defina and Matt Kelly. They're going to have pole 1 back to, it looks like the TCR might have a nose ahead of the Sting. Steve Kelly and Scotty Richardson, but it's the Mantis taking the lead, then to the Sting. TCR's right up alongside the Sting. Sting, our 2023 reigning 600 horsepower champions. They won't be too pleased to see the back of the Mantis boat, but the Mantis have really got the new setup with the 300Rs really dialed in, and they're really starting to show their true colours.
Yeah, mate, they've had 12 months to get this boat sorted, a little bit of a 12-month head start over the Sting Boys. And Sting Boys have now gone from the older two-stroke engines, which were making a lot of power. Now they're having back to a little bit more of a level playing field. So it's good to see those boys really having a good battle, but it still looks like Mantis has a little bit of pace. Good three-way battle going on here, Benny.
Yeah, it's also with the battle in the 85 mile an hour class. It's going to be the Colonel in position 1, then back to Ryan Shan Motorsport and C52, Hayden Wachewski on the inside of them. It's going to be gunnel to gunnel, deck to deck on the exit of turn 1, gunning it up the back straight. Colonel's going to have a few boat lengths on top of them. And the RS Motorsport and C52 are going to have a good battle up that back straight, Bisho.
Yeah, it is, mate. And I just mentioned to the people before, I don't know whether you know, but we had an issue, Ryan Shan breaking out by a couple of points of a mile an hour, and I'm not sure if he got DQ'd or whether he copped a penalty, but either way, probably didn't retain his position from race 1.
Yeah, correct. He got disqualified, actually. He was 87.2, so a significant breakout for Ryan Shan. The Colonel boys also did break out, but only received about a 30-second penalty, so they retained their first position. And then back to C52, obviously, us in the special edition not being out there. Well, I think we might have had that first position. But here come the 600 horsepowers onto our front straightaway. It looks as if the Mantis is ahead.
Yeah, Mantis, as we've seen the whole way, mate, we just saw some great footage through GP Hydro Livestream. We got a couple of on-boards here this weekend, Benny. We got on board in the cockpit of the Mantis, and we've also got looking in the cockpit backwards in the Sting, and also inside the Sting looking backwards to the driver and navigator. But just looking on board there of Mantis, and they are having to work. You can see the wheel work going into the boat there, mate. And Sting boat, it's just that 1 or 2 mile an hour, isn't it? There's not much in this.
No, it's splitting hair on the top speeds, but I personally love those in-cockpit footage, those shots that we're getting here on the GP Hydro live streaming. It really gives you an idea of what those drivers are doing inside those boats. The communication is critical, and it's magical watching a couple of well-rounded drivers and experienced partnerships working away in the cockpits of those boats as the 600 horsepowers exit turn 1. It's Team Mantis, then to the Sting, and then TCR just trailing behind.
Well, mate, I'm just waiting to see Andy Defina spill his Chardonnay on one of these rough days. He hasn't done it yet, but we'll keep looking at the cockpit footage of that boat, and he may just spill a couple of drops of Chardonnay at some point as they fire up the back straight away. Sting are running into second spot. TCR, they've been a little bit off the pace. Not only they're running older technology engines, the 3.2 litre Optimax strokers, but they're also got an issue with those engines, and Steve Kelly very frustrated at the moment, down about 300 RPM, mate.
Yeah, Steve was telling me earlier on in the week they've done a lot of work, and all throughout last season and in the build up to this season, and hopefully they can start to get that boat back up on the pace. As we look at our 85 mile an hour boats coming through, it's the Colonel, Jason Kelly and Jesse King still in our first position. They've got a few boat lengths back to C52, have poked their nose up in front of RS Motorsport, but that battle is certainly raging as they come into the bottom turn here. The two catamarans, the really side-by-siders there. Look at that, Bisho. How good.
This is great racing, isn't it, mate? Between the single-engine catamaran, the Hydrolift machine out of Europe, and then, of course, the Shifty Cat twin engine. So you're looking at very different combinations there, Ben. On the boat on the inside, the single engine, it's a 4.6 litre quad cam 4-valve V8 4-stroke. The boat on the outside running a pair of 2.5 litre Mercury high pressure direct injection Optimaxes. We go on board with the Sting, mate. Some great footage coming from those boys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look closely at the image in the bottom left of the driver and the throttle man doing their thing, it's a really fascinating shot. It's one of my favourite shots that GP Hydro here supply us. As I said, it really gives you a good idea of what they're doing inside those boats, Bisho.
Cracking 150 kilometres an hour at the moment, the Sting. So you'd have to say Mantis probably running around the 155 km now mark, because they've just got that couple of mile an hour, but it certainly makes a big difference after a half-hour race.
Absolutely, it does. You're out there for half an hour. Those couple mile an hours, it really adds up. And the Sting are running the new, obviously the 300R setup. So they're for sure still dialing in that setup, getting used to it. As Bisho said, they've been running the old 2-stroke 300s. The Mantis switched to the 300Rs last year, and they've got that setup dialed in, and you can see the performance gains. And hopefully the Sting can sort it out and get the setup dialed in and be competing side by side with the Mantis for the rest of the season.
Yeah, quite different hull, although the hull designs are actually, they're from the same family, the Skater family, but the Saracen hull of Mantis is a little bit wider and a touch longer, but probably a little bit lighter than the Douglas Skatercat of Sting. The Sting probably, you know, on paper, a little bit better rough water boat, but we saw yesterday that wasn't the case, and the Sting boys were left a little bit wanting. But as we say, really first race for this boat, and you know, you've got new technology on the back of it. They do take some setting up. We saw the Mantis come out, and they were pretty ordinary when they first put these engines on their boat.
Yes, correct. Wyndham Harbour here last year, they were trailing by a bit, and same through Geelong, but by the time they got up to Harvey Bay and Lake Macquarie, they dialed the setup in and they were looking good, and they're just looking better. They've done a lot of work over the off-season, and it really shows. As we look to the 85 mile an hour boats coming back into turn one, and I tell you what, it's splitting hairs.
Yeah, it is, Benny. Have a go at this. So we've got Colonel out in front now. We've seen them win each race, but I tell you what, they haven't got the break that they have had in previous races. In fact, Ryan Shan has just made that move, just getting over the C52. But I tell you what, C52 splitting the wedge here, mate, right in the mix.
Yeah, it's great racing between those three boats. The three cats are remaining for this race, and very different setups between the three. But very competitive racing. It's what we love about these sports class categories. You get a lot of variation in boats. Obviously, there would be the V hull of our special edition out there. We've got a few different types of cats, and look at C52 poking the nose up on the inside of Ryan Shan up our back straightaway. They've had a good run on the exit of turn one, and they've got maybe a boat length between them and Ryan Shan as the Mantis comes through. 600 horsepower category leader through turn one. They're going to chase down the 85 mile an hour boats looking for an overtake. The Sting's just following through, just as Bisho said, just lacking a little bit of that pace. But they'll get there later on in the season as the battle rages on in the 85 mile an hour category. That's great to see, Bisho.
Mate, this is going to be exciting stuff. I mean, we've still got 21 minutes left to run in this race, so plenty going on out on the course. But I tell you what, Wojciechowski's been nowhere, and now he's somewhere. It's an interesting one. He's obviously enjoying these smoother conditions, and that C52 boat is certainly coming into its own in this one. Single engine, but of course it's got plenty of power on the back of that thing, and those 300Rs make a lot of torque. I'm suggesting that maybe they made a few changes in the pits. They might have gone up a prop size for today as well.
Yeah, correct. The torque of those 300Rs is phenomenal. And I'm going to say that they've C52 have poked ahead of the Colonel going through turn number 2 at the top there. It's line ball. Colonel's got the inside line, and it's gunnel to gunnel, deck to deck racing through that corner. But yeah, as Bisho said, C52, they did go out for a run this morning. And I tell you what, they were giving it some stick, and maybe they've changed a few setups. They're dialing in. Again, they're new to the 300R this season, so no doubt they're dialing in the setup, and it looks as if it's working, and the battle is on in the 85 mile an hour category as they're about to enter the front straightaway here. They're going to be rounded up by the Mantis, and this might give you a good opportunity to see the speed difference between these 85 mile an hour boats and the 600 horsepower category boats. These 600 horsepower category boats are capable of sitting at speeds at 115 mile an hour along these race courses, and it's good water for these boats today.
Yeah, perfect water. They're not getting too beaten up, Benny. Now, as we watch this battle unfold right in front of us now, this is a fantastic three-way battle. These guys will be really keeping an eye on their GPSs here, because this is where you can break out and have a problem. And I'd say the C52, if Hayden gets a little bit excited there, he might actually cause himself a problem. So he needs to try and avoid that. We see the Mantis now, so you can see the difference between a 600 horsepower boat and these 85. You can see the 600 horsepower boat probably running up around, at the moment, they're running about 150, 155 kilometres an hour. So in that sort of 90, 95 mile an hour bracket, coming around our 85 mile an hour boat. So really not much in this at all. As you could throw a blanket over them. Sting just running that inside line, so they're trying to make up a little ground and try and maybe make a little bit of an advantage over the Mantis. The Mantis has had to run 4 wide getting around these 85 guys that are having a battle. Mate, your program for the rest of the season, I assume you're running with Mark in the special edition machine.
Yeah, correct. The boat's going to get head up and get a bit of work done by Maritimo over the week. And hopefully we got a 3-week turnaround into Geelong, so hopefully it can get sorted out, because I tell you, Mark and I are both frothing to get out there and get some points in that beautiful coup de craft boss with the big inboard, and keen to get a part of that 85 mile an hour category battles. Look at it, we saw the positions were C52 then to the Colonel up at the top turn, and down that front straightaway it shifted. It was Colonel to C52 to Ryan Shan Motorsport, but you could throw a blanket over the 3 of them.
Heat's on you boys for round number 2 now, mate, because no championship points here this weekend. And I know Mark's here to, and yourself are here to win a championship, not just go out and win races. So that's what it's going to be all about for you guys. I tell you what, that coup de craft boss, so just give the fans a little bit of an idea of what it's like to ride in. We saw it doing a couple of nice big jumps when it was running pretty hard. Looked like it's a pretty soft riding boat. It looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, correct. It's a really soft riding hull. And Mark loves that sort of stuff, and he builds a ripper boat. And some of those hits, we went out on Friday for a bit of a test spin, and it was quite lumpy on Friday. And, you know, a few of those hits, you sort of prepare for a bit of the, but not in the boss. It's smooth, it sits beautifully, and you think maybe going to rock a little bit, but just plows through that rough water. And even when we went out for a little test this morning to see if this boat would hang together, even in the flat water, it was a beast. And so we're really excited for what the rest of the season has in store for us, and looking forward to getting out there and battling hard with the rest of those boys. Mate, I'm pushing to make it a category. I reckon we need 10 of those things out there battling each other. How good would that be? Mark, you better lay that mould up and get a few going, mate. We need to sell a few of those bosses with the big 720 horsepower V8s in them. 720 horsepower. I talked it up a bit. I gave him 850. He's the only guy in Australia that's wanted to talk his horsepower down. Most boat races tell you they're doing 100 when they're doing 90. So Mark's the opposite. I'm not sure what that. Maybe it's a Russian thing. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe it is, but don't want to, oversell it too much as we look back to the 85 mile an hour category boats. It's 3 wide coming down the front straightaway into turn number 1. It's going to be, I'm going to say, the Colonel with a nose in front. And C52 and RS Motorsport are going to be gunnel to gunnel, deck to deck. Have a look at this, 3 wide into turn 1. It's the Colonel back to the C52. Maybe 2 boat lengths between them, and a boat length back to Ryan Shan. The racing is hot in the 85 mile an hour category, Bisho. Mate, this is epic racing from these 3 competitors here at the moment. Shan having to do the job around the outside. Colonel boys, they're used to being in front, but I'll tell you what, mate, they're probably not used to this type of pressure. And great to see Hayden Wojcicki right up there in the C52 as well. He's pushing them all along. Yes, he seems to be loving these water conditions, and it's great to see the 3 different catamarans really racing hard. And as I said, it's what we love about these 85 mile an hour boats. Always competitive. There's a lot of work between the guys in those boats. Obviously speed limited. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot going on to keep the racing tight, and obviously not break out, because we don't want to be receiving those penalties as they head up into the top turn here. We look at the Mantis. They've really put a gap on the Sting here. Anthony DeFina and Matt Kelly have really got that boat sorted out. Yeah, they have, mate. They're the quality of the field here this weekend, and they're going to start their account here in round number 1 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships with plenty of championship points. In fact, if they can continue on, and we've still got about 17 minutes left to run in this race, but if they can come through and win this one, it'll be a clean sweep, Benny. So that's the way you want to start a championship, mate, because you know you're going to have problems, you know you're going to have issues, you know that you're going to have races that you aren't going to finish or not do well in, or have problems. So to start your account with a big bag of points is not a bad way to kick off. Yes, correct. And some of the locations we head to, the water's going to get gnarly. And Bisho's correct. It's good to start with that little bit of security with a few points in the bags, because offshore racing really is, you got to finish to, first you have to finish
you know, if you're going to finish first. So it's important that these guys pick up a good start here and make the most of these conditions, because who knows what the rest of the season's going to have in store. They may have some troubles, and who knows, the Sting might get really competitive and give him a challenge. So it's good to start off strong heading into the rest of the season.
Oh, mate, I think there's no doubt the Sting, you know, this is first hit out for them, so we shouldn't forget that. This is as bad as the boat's going to be. It's only going to get better and better. So this is the worst we're going to see from the Sting. So, and the worst of it's still pretty bloody good, mate. So it's going to be exciting to see this championship unfold.
Yeah, I agree. Bisho's absolutely right. They're only going to improve. They're only going to find out more about the setup and get faster and faster each race. And that's a really exciting thing to think about. As we look towards our 85 mile an hour boats coming down into turn number 1, and it's still side-by-side racing. TCR, the 600 horsepower category boat, they're just going to run around the outside of these 85 mile an hour guys. They're sitting in third, picking up good points in the 600 horsepower category. But here we go, it's the Colonel leading. Then to C52 on the inside. Ryan Shan and Scott Kelly coming around the outside of those boys. They're doing a good job as we see the speed difference again. The 600 horsepower TCR just running a nice wide line, letting those 85 mile an hour boys race and race hard, as C52 is going to poke a nose in the inside of the Colonel, but the Colonel's going to carry a little bit more speed down onto that back straightaway. Then it's to C52, a couple of boat lengths behind, and a further couple of boat lengths behind them is Ryan Shan and Scott Kelly in the RS Motorsport Shifty Cat. They're doing a great job. Really, really good racing. We're on board here on the GP Hydro live streaming in the Sting. Sitting at speeds of 150 to 160 kilometre an hour. So around 100 mile an hour those boys are sitting at. So we can expect the Mantis to be maybe sitting a bit over 100 mile an hour, 160s kilometre an hour mark. They're doing a really, really good job. And again, the Sting picking up good points. They're going to be close in the points tally to the Mantis, and if they can sort that boat out and really get that setup dialed, the championship battle is going to be on.
Yeah, they are the current series champions. Have a look at the trim that they've got into the Mantis now as it fires down the front straight away. And this boat capable of around about 108 miles an hour, but they would still have a reasonable fuel load on board at the moment. So I think you're right, Benny. I think they're probably running up into that 100 mile an hour bracket. We saw the onboard footage. For those of you here on site, we've got the onboard footage that the viewers are seeing at home from the Sting, and they were running up into 155 kilometres an hour in this particular boat as it comes down through the bottom turn and just has a little bit of a chine walk. But these boys pushing pretty hard into the Sting machine, and I tell you what, as you said, mate, there's really nothing in this. Mikey Ratcliffe is a pretty competitive guy, and Carl Wall, of course, doing it for Lockie in this boat. They won't want to get beaten. They won't be happy with being behind.
No, they're both ripper blokes, but when you get them out on the water, they're as competitive as it gets, and especially after their dominant run last season, they're not going to like the look of the Mantis pulling away. And yeah, Bisho's correct. Those sort of speeds up around that 110 mile an hour mark for the Mantis is certainly on the cards today, as the 85 mile an hour boats come down the front straight away. I tell you, they're sticking with the TCR. The TCR maybe still sorting some issues out, but that's okay. Again, they're only going to get faster and faster as they get to the bottom of their issues. 85 mile an hour boats coming down. Who's going to be in front? It's line ball. It's side by side, gunnel to gunnel, deck to deck, racing into turn number 1. I'm going to say the Colonel still have a nose ahead, but C52 have that inside line. They're definitely going to have a look down into turn number 1 as we've got 10 minutes left in this race. It's really on. Have a look. It's going to be C52. They've got a nose in front on the inside line of the Colonel. It's side by side, gunnel to gunnel, deck to deck, racing. Ryan Shan Motorsport just trailing. They're lurking. They're waiting for a bit of a mistake. A little bit. They're going to get slowed down going deck to deck between those two front runners, and they're going to pounce on that opportunity. But Colonel look like they're carrying a little bit more speed, but C52 have that inside line, and they're going to have the torque of the 300 arm motor exiting that corner. And I tell you what, have a look at that. You could
Mate, Zachy Gould and Hayden Wojciechowski, they've been nowhere all weekend, mate. Now all of a sudden they're out in front of this 85 sports 85 mile an hour category and pushing the other competitors along hard. This is going to be really tricky now because all these guys are going to be watching. I'm sure they're running that 85 mile an hour right on the limit, and all these guys are going to need to be very careful not to break out in this one. But we'll only call what we see on the water, mate, and this is getting exciting. We've got around about, just having a look now, 9 minutes and 20 seconds left to run in this one, so only a few laps left to run here, and it is going to go down to the wire in this 85 class, mate. You're going to lose your voice if you're not careful.
Yeah, oh mate, I'm going to get excited pretty soon, and absolutely neither guy, or none of those boys in the 85 mile an hour are going to want to risk penalty because they're all within that penalty zone. You know, that gap is so close that if any one of them gets a penalty, they're instantly going to lose that position. So they're going to be really, really careful looking at those GPSs and being really careful on the throttles. As it looks as if the Sting's slowing down. Sting down the front straightaway just exited that top turn, and definitely they've come off the plane. I don't know. It looks like they're down to one rooster tail, so maybe they've lost a starboard side 300R Mercury racing engine. That is terrible to see.
Yeah, that's a really awkward spray coming out the back of that bend, so something's definitely gone astray, whether they've lost a gearbox, a prop, or lost engine power, but something has gone terribly wrong in the Sting camp, and that boat's not going to make it home, mate. I don't think that's certainly on one engine at the moment, and as you said, it looks like it may even be the port engine throwing that big spray up, mate, getting dragged through the water. Only time will tell there, but certainly a massive drama there, Benny.
Yeah, correct. That's gut-wrenching for the Sting boys. It's TCR. Hey, you got to be in it to win it. TCR are coming around the outside. They're going to pick up second place and valuable championship points. That makes things exciting as we look. The 85 mile an hours are coming back down. Who's going to be in front? I can't tell, Bisho.
Mate, we're not going to know. This is going to come down to the wire, but you can see Sting going through there, and you can see just throwing mountains of water out the back of that boat. Something's gone horribly astray there, and it'll be interesting to see they're pulling in. So disappointment there for the Sting as they were running hard in second place, but they come into the centre of the course. Mike Ratcliffe and Carl Wall, but this battle absolutely, as you said, Benny, gunnel to gunnel, deck to deck, down through the bottom turn on the inside pole. What's happened there? Ryan Shan has got lost. He's got lost. He's gone to follow the Sting and got himself confused there, mate. That's cost him valuably. And now the RS Motorsports machine loses a lot of ground to the C52. They're still in front of the Colonel. Oh dear, bad mistake.
Yeah, terrible mistake. Whether they got a bit lost or had a bit of a bit in and pulled them into the centre of the course, who knows. But they were sitting in first place, had that inside line, and a really costly mistake there. Dropped them back to second, but the battle is still on. So don't get over it, guys. The C52 is still in front, but RS Motorsport looks to have that inside line, and they've stayed in front of the Colonel, which is interesting. The Colonel was running in first for most of this race, and now as we head with 6 minutes to go, Mark, they've dropped down to third, and there's a few boat lengths between them and the other 85 mile an hour boats. Ryan Shan and Scott Kelly still have that inside line over the C52, and it looks really close. I wonder who's going to have the lead down this front straightaway.
Well, time's going to tell us on that one, Benny boy. We've got about 6.5 minutes left to run in this race as we have a very, very lonely Mantis just cruising around the course now, given that they won't even know that the Sting has pulled up yet, and we go on board with the Mantis, just having a look at the shots coming through GP Hydro live streaming. But that's devastating for the Sting team. They came here to race. They're coming here for the championship. They are the current 2023 600 horsepower champions, but their weekend and their championship has not kicked off the way they would like it to. But plenty going on. Not a lot of boats out there, mate, but plenty of quality racing.
That's it. Quality over quantity, I think, on this one. But we see that the Sting pulled in. They've got a rescue boat going over to them. They got the cockpit hatch open, and you can see the drivers climbing out. So they're okay, but the boat not so much. As we look, TCR coming through into this bottom turn here. Sitting nicely, getting the job done. Good on Scotty Richardson and Steve Kelly inside that boat as the Mantis rounds up, puts another lap on the 85 mile an hour boat. They've nearly got a whole lap on behind them, so they're safe as houses in their first place position. As long as they can bring that boat home, they've got full points in the bag for this weekend, so they're going to be very, very happy. A few beers on them, I imagine, back at the pits as our 85-mile-an-hour boats come back into view. We've got, 5 minutes to go in this race, guys. The battle is on and raging hard. It's Ryan Shan and Scott Kelly, RS Motorsport, the orange shifty catamaran. They're going to have a nose in front of the Colonel. They're going to have the inside line too, the favourable inside line. Then it's back to the Colonel, half a boat length. C52 have dropped back a little bit, but they're lurking, splitting the sandwich there between those two leading boats. It's still going to be the shifty cat of RS Motorsport taking the inside line and taking first position as the Mantis rounds them up. They're leaving them to race. Respectful racing, respectful driving from the Mantis, letting these smaller boats race hard. As Ryan Shan and Scott Kelly had a great run through that first turn. They've put a bit of space on the Colonel boys, but don't count the Colonel boys out, or C52 for that matter. The positions have been swapping all race, and it's well and truly on as we head into the final laps of this race.
Well, mate, it's unbelievable to me that you watch these 85-mile-an-hour category boats. They're all limited to that 85-mile-an-hour. And we've had, 27 lead changes in this race, and it's been absolutely unbelievable. So Ryan Shan, the C52 machine, has led for a few laps, but then, of course, we've had the Colonel leading, and now we've got the RS Motorsport machine leading as well. RS looks like they're making a little bit of a break here, though, Ben. Let's hope they don't break out.
Yes, correct. They broke out to point of disqualification last race, so they'll be absolutely bummed out if they break out of this race and losing valuable points. I mean, you know, you wouldn't want to be breaking out when the racing's this close, and we're going to go into the top turn. It's going to be RS Motorsport just ahead. They're going to have the inside line over the Colonel, but we can't quite see the Colonel. They're right up alongside. In fact, I think the Colonel might have a nose ahead of RS Motorsport around the outside, but that inside line is critical and gives them the good run down the straightaway. Bisho.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. It's all about the tactics now, and as you said before, mate, showing a lot of respect to the lower class, lower speed bracket boats was the Mantis as they went around the outside. Having said that, if they had have done anything other than that, I reckon they would have got lynched in the pits because they were out in front doing it quite easily. TCR, I think, might have just come off the pace a little bit, to be honest, for ASAT Catering. Scotty Richardson there. Fed everybody this morning, mate. I hope you got one of those good egg and bacons in here.
Oh, mate, ripper egg and bacon, ripper way to start the morning. He does a good job. He brought a bit of tucker in for my birthday celebrations this year, and he did a phenomenal job. So good on Scotty, and as simple as that, catering. He does a ripper job. We're going to have one lap to go. Our Mantis here coming through. They're entering their last lap. Obviously, our race leader, it's a half-hour race, and they're going to pick up the checkered flag next lap. And obviously so will our 85-mile-an-hour boat, so they're coming in. They're about to enter their final lap. And coming into the final lap, it's going to be raging between RS Motorsport and the Colonel. C52 look as if they've lost a little bit of pace. That's not good to see. They're trailing by a fair few boat lengths now. They've been on it all race, but not now. It's going to be Ryan Shan and Scott Kelly on the inside, Jason Kelly and Jesse King and the Colonel on the outside, rounding them up. Look to be holding a little bit more speed, but having to travel a further distance on the outside line. Who's going to have the nose in front as they enter the back straightaway? It looks as if it's going to be RS Motorsport. Only 1 or 2 boat lengths in front of the Colonel Bisho as we enter this last lap. The battle is on in the 85-mile-an-hour category.
I tell you what, Benny, they will want to be very careful up into the top turn because we saw a big move up the inside from the Colonel in the previous race. We saw him run that wide line and then do the old double switchback, as I like to call it, the 45 across the transom of RS, and definitely got the job done on him in that last race. So what can the Colonel do here? Can they make up the ground? The checkered flag has come out. It is all going on here at beautiful Wyndham Harbour for round number 1 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. Joining me in commentary this afternoon, Mr. Benny Embleton, co-driver of the special edition machine, mate. And conditions today very different to yesterday, mate.
Yeah, very different. It was windy and choppy and snotty out there yesterday, but it's really flat and calmed down today. And I tell you what, TCR, we've got news from race control. They've stopped on the back straightaway. They look to be pulling into the centre of the course under their own steam, but Bisho noticed they were lacking speed, and well, they're lacking speed now for sure as they've come to a stop. But both them and the Sting will still pick up points for accomplishing 70% race distance. So they'll still pick up points, but not good to see from them. As Bisho, we look, the Mantis coming down the front straightaway for their final time, picking up first position in the 600 horsepower category.
Thanks for noticing. I called it too, Benny. Yes. The TCR. Ladies and gentlemen, the young blokes, I just got to get a bit of credit for them. Stand up, wave your hats and programs. It's the Mantis coming through to take the win, and that is a clean sweep for Team Mantis Racing. Andy Defina, Matthew Kelly, the beautiful Saracen Hull, gets the job done, and they will go home very satisfied. If they want more than that, mate, they're being greedy.
Absolutely, that's as good as it can get. A clean sweep, a win in every race for the Mantis boys. They're going to be stoked with this weekend. They've done a great job. A lot of work on that boat, and it showed. They're fast, they're consistent, and Andy Defina and Matt Kelly, they get the job done. They're a Ripper pair, very successful in the past, and Ripper blokes too. I really like those boys. As we look, the 85 mile an hour boats are thundering down the front straightaway. I don't know who's going to have the lead. It looks as if it's going to be the Colonel. They're just on the outside of RS Motorsport. Look to have a nose ahead. It's going to be a tight finish down as the checkered flag is out for the 85 mile an hour boats. It's going to be the Colonel picking up first position. It is hands together for the Colonel in first, and Ryan Shannon, Scott Kelly in RS Motorsport Shifty Catamaran just behind, as we see the C52 Hayden Wachewski coming up, and Zach Gould picking up third place. What a race, Bisho.
Fantastic, well called, Benny, and that wraps it up. The final boat through for round number one. Race number 3 for our 600 horsepower and Supercat outboard boats. Benny, all in all, your thoughts over the weekend?
Well, for me and Mark personally, maybe not so good, but for the rest of the field out there, the rest of the boats, and for the spectators, what a ripper event we've had here at round 1 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships at Wyndham Harbour. A massive thank you to Wyndham Harbour, 30/30 here for the catering, the awesome beers, the awesome food. A great weekend and great racing all round, Bisho.
Thanks, Benny. Thanks for joining me in commentary for that final race. Been a pleasure to have you here, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, that does wrap up round number 1 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships for 2024. Next, we head to Geelong in a couple of weeks' time. Check out the Facebook page of the AOPC for all your dates and all the information that you need. We've really had a great time. Thanks for joining us at home. Thanks to everybody on the bank here. Hope you enjoyed the racing today. And congratulations to the winners. Commiserations to the losers. But we'll see you all in Geelong next time.